Oh, look, one person already.
Hello.
Hey again. Welcome back to our final half an hour live of this series.
Ostatni live dzisiaj mamy z wami. Dziękujemy, że byliście z nami przez całe 10 dni, znaczy tym, którzy byli, dziękujemy. No i tak, no i dzisiaj będziemy mówić trochę o angielskiej kulturze, będziemy polecać wam różne anglojęzyczne książki, filmy, piosenki.
Essentially, yeah, films, TV, literature, theatre, music, and musicals. And the idea is that being the last live of this series, we can now recommend you loads of different things that you can watch or read or listen to continue practicing English at home, outside of your online lecture hours, etc. As after today, Eurolingua is kicking into official online lessons, right?
Czyli zapraszamy na lekcje online w waszych normalnych grupach. No i dzisiaj właśnie przedstawimy wam te rzeczy, z których sami możecie uczyć się praktykować swój angielski.
Exactly. So we are on YouTube. I hope YouTube doesn't kick us out today because of copyright. It's happened every day. So we have 2 on Facebook, 5 on YouTube. Shall we begin? Okay, fantastic. So as I said, we are going to recommend you different things to watch, listen to, read, etc. In different kinds of typical British and famous British examples of culture. So we're going to start with films, in particular British films, and some of the classics that I would recommend you absolutely have to watch. Films both good for your English practice, but also good to learn about English culture specifically.
Czyli filmy takie, które nie tylko pozwolą wam praktykować swój angielski, ale też dowiedzieć się coś więcej o kulturze brytyjskiej.
Exactly. So, let me just get my list in front of me. I wrote some earlier. The first thing I recommend when it comes to films is to watch any of if you were watching as a kid or even now adult films in Polish, but you know that they were originally made in English, I would definitely recommend to watch those films again, but in English. This is a great one because you already know the plot, you know what is happening, so you're less likely to lose the English, you're less likely to not follow what's happening. So I'd first recommend to watch your favorite Polish dubbed films or Polish subtitled films in English. That's the first thing I'd recommend.
Czyli pierwszą rzeczą, którą polecamy, nie jest to nic konkretnego, tylko polecamy wam oglądać jakieś bajki, być może z dzieciństwa, albo filmy, które już widzieliście w polskiej wersji językowej. Polecamy oglądać je po angielsku. Wtedy nie stracicie, nie zgubicie się w fabule, tylko fabułę już znacie, wiecie, co się dzieje w filmie, być może nawet znacie niektóre dialogi. Dlatego warto jest obejrzeć takie filmy, które już widzieliśmy po angielsku.
Exactly. And good examples of those would be any kind of classic Disney or Pixar animated films, any cartoon films that you may love as a child, for example, Shrek or Lion King or Frozen. All of these I know are definitely translated into Polish, and so I would recommend watching them in English.
Czyli na przykład jakieś bajki Disneya, Król Lew, Kraina Lodu albo Shrek. To akurat nie jest Disney, ale...
Exactly. So the next thing I would recommend follows on from what we were talking about the other day from British humour. And I already mentioned different films and series to watch that are classic, that have or are full of classic British humour. For example, Mr. Bean, Monty Python, Keeping Up Appearances, Dad's Army, and Fawlty Towers.
Can you write them down?
I wrote all those the other day, those 5. I wrote already.
Czyli to, co mówiliśmy, te programy, które polecaliśmy w odcinku z angielskim humorem.
So just to add 2 more onto that list that I failed to mention the other day, which are brilliant. One is a set of films, one is a TV series. Great British comedies. Probably some of the most famous. The first one, I will say, is a series of films, collection of films, I should say, called Carry On Something. There are about 30 of them. We call them Carry On films. One example of a great one is Carry On Camping. Another would be Carry On Doctor. Is another great one. But there are about 30 different ones. If you type in Carry On films, you will find many, many different editions of this. And they're great. They're filmed in the 60s, and they usually share the same cast playing different characters, and the style of comedy is just brilliant. It's kind of slapstick comedy, so very over the top clownish comedy, but they're brilliant, so I'd recommend that. And the next one is a British series from the 80s and 90s called Only Fools and Horses. Only Fools and Horses is again a great one with the classic character called Derek Trotter. And again, it's just brilliant British humour. Only Fools and Horses. So definitely look up those two if you want to find some good British comedy. Other films I have written down here to watch would be Harry Potter.
Tak, Harry'ego Pottera polecamy, ponieważ mówią tam z brytyjskim akcentem.
Exactly. British of all kinds. You have Irish, Scottish, London, Cornish, from Cornwall, all different kinds. So it's a great one to watch. And obviously everyone loves Harry Potter. It's quite hard not to like, I think. So watch Harry Potter in English. Another great one for British accents would be James Bond.
Oh, tak.
Classic Londoner accent in James Bond. And again another classic, so hard not to like. Okay.
Czyli James Bond, ponieważ tam też po brytyjsku mówią.
Yeah. Some less famous films that you might not have heard of that are great to learn about different kind of British times, different British cultures. One would be East is East. East is East is a great film about the Asian community in Britain and racism towards that community during the 80s. But again, great British accents, really great, interesting plot. Another one, Billy Elliot. The film of it is not a musical. It's just a straight feature film, and it's all about coal mining in northern England in the 70s. So that's a great one for British culture and history as well. And another one around the same era would be Full Monty. About 5 men who are unemployed and they try to find work and they can't find work, so they end up forming a Chippendale style group together. So Full Monty is another one. 3 more on the films list. Bend It Like Beckham. Have you heard of this one?
Mm-mm.
Bend It Like Beckham is a film made by actually the same person who made East is East, funnily enough. And it's all about 2 female teenagers who want to be footballers and how that's kind of frowned upon in their community, that they want to play football instead of doing a more feminine, taking on a more feminine profession. So it's about football culture and kind of gender roles culture in Britain as well. So that's a great one. Starring Keira Knightley, who you might know.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of the film that started her career, actually, Bend It Like Beckham. 2 films. I'm not writing them on Facebook, am I? Maybe at the end I can write them on Facebook. Or just take a screenshot and put it into Facebook. 2 more about British football culture. So hooligan culture, and kind of stadium fighting culture, etc. One is called This Is England, all about the skinheads in the 80s, football hooligans in the 80s. And another one, Green Street. This one, even more specifically, about hooligans who support West Ham, the football team in London. And that's a very East London film. So I would really recommend those two for proper British 80s culture or history as well. So those are the kind of, there are obviously loads more, but those are the ones I would really recommend as great British films. Yeah? Do you want to say that, what I said?
I didn't...
Just those are the ones I would recommend.
No, czyli po prostu Jake poleca akurat te filmy. Wiadomo, że jest więcej o wiele, ale no, my polecamy akurat te.
So the next I would like to talk about would be British TV and series. Some on Netflix, some on just normal British TV that you might find online. One would be The Crown. This is on Netflix, but I think you can also buy it on DVD, etc. So I'm sure it's online somewhere. The Crown, obviously, all about Queen Elizabeth II and her life. But this one's just beautifully shot, as a beautifully made film series. But obviously, all about the Queen, so true British accents within this series, and it's just great. Just find the other TV. Other like programs you can watch. One is Gogglebox, which I think you have a version of in Polish, also called Gogglebox, yes. Right? This one is just good because it's kind of normal people at home sitting in front of their TV, watching TV and talking about it. So this one's great to see, again, true British accents of normal people around the country, to listen to their English. Peaky Blinders. This show is great. Peaky Blinders is all about gangsters in Birmingham in the 1920s. So that's a really great one. Did you hear about Chelsea? The Chelsea Smiling and the Hooligans. Rings a bell, but I don't know too much about it. So
I don't know.
But that's definitely something to read into. I know more about West Ham hooliganism, I guess, from Green Street, but I know that Chelsea is also, most British football teams actually are guilty of hooliganism in Britain, more in the 80s than now. So watch This Is England. It's a great film. Peaky Blinders, as I said, all about gangsters in Birmingham in the 20s. So great to hear a Brummy Birmingham accent. Black Mirror. Oh, I don't know.
Akurat amerykańskie. Yeah, American.
No, Black Mirror is English.
Is it?
Yeah, it's British.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, can't speak. Black Mirror is it's British series, all filmed in London, British actors.
Oh, cool.
There might be one or two with some American actresses. For example, Miley Cyrus is in one of them. But a lot of them are based in Britain. But again, it's even the American ones still are quite good for the English. But there are a lot about British culture with Black Mirror. They cut a smile with a razor. Yeah, I did hear stuff about that. That's yeah. Just hooliganism again. But moving on. Doctor Who is a great one. If you're into more sci-fi stuff, Doctor Who is great for British English. Game of Thrones.
Znana chyba Gra o Tron.
Yeah, Game of Thrones. More medieval English, but again, just to see different kinds of accents. For example, Jon Snow is a character from the north, and he has a northern accent, and then the characters from the south have southerner accents, so it's quite geographically correct. That one. The In-Betweeners. You know this one? You've never seen The In-Betweeners? Oh my goodness, we have to watch it. The In-Betweeners, a group of 4 teenage boys, about 17 years old, going through life and growing up, and it's a comedy, and it's just brilliant. Again, great English. I've mentioned Faulty Towers, Only Fools and Horses. But last one I would recommend is a series called Our Planet.
Oh, that's
there are several. Frozen Planet, or Planet Earth, or Blue Planet. There are 4 different series, all narrated by the amazing Sir David Attenborough, who is a kind of legend and icon in British wildlife. The program's just beautifully filmed, and his narration is what makes the program so famous. And he's very clear, and his British is very nice to listen to. So really, I recommend that one.
Na Netflixie możecie znaleźć.
Yeah, exactly. Quite a few of these you can find on Netflix. But just have a look online. I'm sure you'll find them somewhere. Moving on to 15 minutes. Moving on to theatre. I want to recommend some playwrights that you can read, and also then you can probably find a lot of their work online, which I will explain in a second. Do you want to say that?
Czyli teraz przechodzimy do teatru, do dramatopisarzy i zaraz zobaczymy, co tutaj mamy przygotowane.
So the first one I would recommend is my favorite playwright ever, well, apart from Shakespeare, maybe. The first will be Sarah Kane. Not for the faint-hearted. I don't know how you translate that.
Nie dla ludzi o słabych nerwach.
It's quite dark material, quite heavy material to read. But she is a brilliant playwright, considered one of the most iconic playwrights in British history, recent history. In 1990s, she was active writing these plays. So do look up Sarah Kane. Carol Churchill. Again, another very famous British playwright from the 70s and 80s. Very ahead of her time. She was talking. Most of her topics are about feminism, mainly feminist material. But in the 80s, it's quite ahead of its time. Harold Pinter. Again, just a classic British playwright of the late 20th century, along with Noel Coward a bit earlier. Again, just classic British comedy. Noel Coward was the only playwright to keep shows running during the whole of World War II. His plays were loved, even loved enough to keep them open during the World War. So do look him up. And 2, maybe a bit much harder English, but I would always look into them because they're my favorite. He's my favorite. One is obviously Shakespeare, and second, Samuel Beckett. It's probably double T actually. Whoops. Samuel Beckett. Much older than the playwrights I named before, and probably the English is a bit more difficult. But maybe for some advanced English learners, Shakespeare is a great one.
No na pewno Shakespeare będzie ciężki do przeczytania po angielsku, ale można zerknąć.
And also you can find many books online of like Shakespeare, basic Shakespeare. So Shakespeare translated into modern day English, or Shakespeare translated into basic English. But I think the great thing is that to be a playwright of the 16th century, to be writing about so many topics that are still relevant today, I think is interesting. So maybe try to find some basic versions of his plays to read through. I would really recommend. And the last thing to recommend is that there is something called NT Live. NT Live is National Theatre Live, and the National Theatre of England, based in London, broadcast in cinemas worldwide every single one of their productions. And I'll come to that question in a second. So you can even find in cinemas in Poland different English productions at the National Theatre.
Czyli często można w kinie zobaczyć transmisję z Teatru Narodowego w Londynie.
And could I recommend anything for beginners? Could you think of any?
Są takie książki różne, nie pamiętam wydawnictwa teraz, ale można jakby wybrać sobie level. Po prostu myślę, że będzie bardzo dużo takich jakichś krótkich historyjek opisanych w książce, gdzie można sobie wybrać level. I to po prostu myślę, że trzeba wpisać w Google książki po angielsku i na przykład A1, A2, A3, B1, B2, C1, czyli jest po prostu swój poziom. No taki podstawowy, najprostszy, no to będzie A1, potem A2 i tak dalej. Dlatego no teraz konkretnie no, przykładu nie podam, ale na pewno są takie specjalnie dostosowane do angielskich. From Art and Drama.
From Art and Drama. I'm trying to think. On the top of my head, no, but I would definitely think about it and we can message you personally about it, I think. Or put a post on Eurolingua's site to answer that question, because I want to answer it properly, because it's a good question. So I'm going to really come up with some good ideas, and there are many, I just can't think of off the top of my head. So we will respond to that. Audiobooks as well. That's a good thing to say, that audiobooks is also a great way to learn English.
Albo najlepiej jednocześnie czytać i słuchać.
Read and listen at the same time. Yeah, absolutely. Also, with English films, have the English original playing, but also put English subtitles on as well. So you're reading the English as well as listening to it. I would recommend that more than maybe Polish subtitles. Okay, so moving on. Those are that's kind of playwrights I would recommend. Moving on to music, and how we have maybe 6 or 7 kind of classic British bands or performers who we would recommend listening to for their lyrics, and just for their music is brilliant as well.
Czyli teraz podamy jakichś muzyków, których warto na sobie posłuchać, pewnie znacie większość, no i oczywiście przeanalizować teksty.
And the first...
Maybe not Amy Winehouse, but like...
Yeah, true.
Jeśli chodzi o tekst, to mamy tutaj Amy Winehouse, która ma bardzo takie, no, wulgarne teksty. I would say in some of her songs.
It could be worse.
Yeah, but like, not for children, but
absolutely.
still interesting.
The first, I think the Pani Directora would never forgive us if we didn't.
Pani Director.
Pani Director. Why is that not feminine?
Oh, yeah. You could say Dyrektorka.
Okay, so I don't think she would forgive us if we didn't mention first the Beatles. Absolutely, I can't deny it. The Beatles were fantastic, and their lyrics are fantastic, and the British English is great. So do listen to them, read their lyrics.
Czyli oczywiście Beatlesi, number 1, polecamy.
Exactly. Second, just after the Beatles, close behind, I would recommend Queen.
Czyli Eddie chciałam powiedzieć, Freddie Mercury. I zespół Queen.
Adele. Something more contemporary, something more recent. Adele. Just for her lyrics, and also her accent is also a true British Londoner accent, so even when singing, so...
możecie jakieś wywiady pooglądać sobie, some interviews.
Yeah, exactly. Interviews, documentaries about these people are great as well. Who knows? We said Amy Winehouse, but maybe not so much for children. But again, a classic Londoner accent. Elton John, another kind of huge British icon. Shall I write these down? Is that your first Beatles?
I never know.
Differently, no? It's different, isn't it? From Beatles and the
yeah.
I'll put it like that. You'll find them. Queen. One might forgive me for that. If it's from Adele. Elton John. The next one, I would say Ed Sheeran.
Oh, yeah, that's a bit.
Just for his accent again, and his British English is great. Take That. Do you know Take That? Take That with Gary Barlow and Robbie Williams. It's a band. Take That, just another classic British band that everyone knows. Pink Floyd. as well. Pink Floyd would be my last recommendation for kind of the most classic British music that you can listen to. Obviously, there are hundreds more, but these would be my recommendations to begin with.
Dua Lipa, jeśli chodzi o taki pop.
But she's from Croatia or somewhere Eastern European.
Yeah, but like
she has a Londoner accent, but I wouldn't say she's classic British.
Okay. She's from Kosovo, by the way. But,
but she's not the Beatles, is she? Anyway, tell us what you think. Let's put just Dua Lipa as well.
Jeśli chodzi o taką popularną muzykę teraz, no to...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, to be fair, some contemporary music in there as well is a good way to go. So we've done theatre, music, TV, and film. The last two, just really quickly, that I want to do are, the first one is musicals. Musicals are great because it makes listening to long stories fun. That's why I like musicals. I'm going to recommend even the American ones as well, because when singing, you can't really hear an American accent in these musicals that much. The first one will be Hamilton, my absolute number one. Hamilton, just for the rhymes in this is brilliant. If you want some cool Polish translations of this, listen to Studio Cantus. They make Polish translations of this musical.
Bardzo fajnie jest sobie posłuchać na przykład właśnie Hamiltona albo innych musicali, które będziemy polecać, i później zobaczyć sobie, jak zostały przetłumaczone przez Studio Cantus na YouTube. Naprawdę polecam.
Actually, Studio Cantus have made translated versions from all the musicals I'm about to recommend. The next one will be Les Miserables. Despite the French title, it's in English. Classic British musical, even though it's French, but loved in London. Wicked. Wicked. The follow-on from The Wizard of Oz, all about the Wicked Witch of the West. The Lion King.
Czyli Król Lew.
And lastly, Billy Elliot again, but this one's now a musical. So again, about the coal mining industry in the 70s and the coal strikes. All of these musicals, you can find songs and more musicals in Polish by Studio Cantus on YouTube.
I oczywiście, jeśli tylko będziecie mieć okazję w Londynie lub gdzieś w jakimś innym mieście Anglii pójść do teatru, no to bardzo serdecznie polecamy. Nawet jeśli nie będziecie właśnie w stanie wszystkiego zrozumieć, to warto sobie wybrać właśnie na przykład jakiś musical, żebyście mniej więcej znali historię i mogli po prostu fajnie posłuchać tego, jak tam śpiewają, jak grają i w ogóle wizualnie, no świetne widowisko.
Exactly. And the last two I'm going to say in the last minute will be two authors we recommend as well. But again, we're going to look into more authors for beginners as well, and we're going to put that out there somewhere on social media, just to let you know some beginner authors. But my favorite author, and then you will say your favorite author, my favorite is Dan Brown. He's written about 7 or 8 books in a series with a character called Robert Langdon, and they're kind of crime thriller novels. And they're just brilliant. The English is brilliant. He's American, but the English used is really great. And I would say not too complicated to read. For example, I was reading these books when I was 10 or 11, maybe 12. So the English isn't so advanced. So I would really recommend him.
Ja polecam Stephena Kinga. I też fajne ćwiczenie, które możecie sobie zrobić, może jest dosyć kosztowne, ale można znaleźć na przykład w PDF-ie książkę. Jest fajnym sposobem kupienie sobie lub pożyczenie książki po angielsku i posiadanie jej też w polskiej wersji językowej i tłumaczenie sobie albo czytanie po jednej stronie na przykład, albo po zdaniu i patrzenie, jak została przetłumaczona, jak wy byście to przetłumaczyli, no to jest takie, no moim zdaniem, bardzo fajne
Dan Brown
ćwiczenie.
Also has Polish translated versions of his novels as well. So that marks the end of all, not all, the most important or best for us different examples of British culture in film, music, TV.
Tak, czyli tym sposobem zakończyliśmy nasz blog kulturalny, kulturowy. No i jak zwykle tradycyjnie już na tym dzisiejszym ostatnim live'ie parę chwil powiemy o Minecrafcie, a dziś mówimy o zwierzętach, jakie możemy spotkać w tej grze.
Exactly. Different animals we can meet in Minecraft, or you can find. So we'll whiz through these. There are about 15 of them, starting with wolf.
Wolf, czyli wilk, którego można potem zamienić w doga, czyli w psa.
Wolf. Spider.
Spider, czyli ten taki pająk, o którym już wspominaliśmy, jak mówiliśmy o potworach.
Squid.
I tutaj mam problem, bo squid to jest po polsku
I guess in
kałamarnica?
Minecraft
Nie,
it's an octopus essentially.
no taka jakby właśnie oktopus, czyli ośmiornica, taka nie gąbka, takie coś w wodzie. I don't know in Polish.
You get ink from these animals.
Kałamarnica.
In Minecraft, so squids
Czyli
or octopuses,
kałamarnica.
you get ink from them. The next one would be turtle.
Przepraszam bardzo.
Okay, so I'm going to go through them
Dzień dobry.
quickly. Oh, sorry, 1 second. Forgive me for 1 second. Okay, so just before Matt comes back, I'm going to move on to the animals that maybe I know how to say. So there is a chicken you can find, chili kurczak, I guess, and you can also find pigs, chili świnia, something like that. You can see I'm missing my Polish translator, but I'll go through them. So you can get horses, you can find sheep, and I'll write them down. Horses.
Dobra, wróciłam.
Horses and sheep.
Konie i owce.
I've already done chicken and pig because I knew how to say them in Polish, but those were the only ones. So this is salmon. I'm joking. Salmon, always without the L. Salmon.
Czyli nasz łosoś.
Rabbit.
Czyli królik.
Parrot.
Papuga.
I said pig already.
Czyli?
I said świnia. Is that right? Good. Świni?
Świnka.
Świnka. Panda. This is a new one. I didn't know you could get pandas in Minecraft.
In Polish?
No idea.
Panda.
Oh yeah? Panda. A fox.
In Polish?
I can't remember.
Lis.
Llama.
In Polish?
Llama? Donkey.
In Polish?
Mały koń.
Osioł.
Osioł.
You can call someone stupid osioł, ty ośle.
You can in English as well. You stupid donkey. Yeah. Dolphin.
In Polish?
I don't know.
Delfin.
Cow.
You know that one?
No.
Krowa.
Oh yeah, I did know that one. Cod.
Dorsz, tak jak już mówiliśmy przy jedzeniu.
Chicken.
Czyli?
I said that right. Kurczak. Yeah. Bee.
Czyli pszczoła.
And lastly, a bat. Oh, 2 more. Bat and rhyming cat.
Bat, czyli nietoperek, nietoperz i cat, czyli
Cat.
kitty.
And they are all of the animals you can find in Minecraft. So that marks the end, sadly, of 10 days of English with us.
Na pewno będziemy przygotowywać jeszcze jakieś live'y. Nie wiem kiedy, ale na pewno wszystkiego się dowiecie, więc followujcie naszą stronę na Facebooku i dajcie subskrypcję na kanale. I zapraszam też, zareklamuję się na mój kanał Iluzjonistka, bo jeśli podobało Wam się, jak Jake mówił po polsku, to następnym filmem będzie film, kiedy z Jake'em gramy w Minecrafta tylko po polsku. Więc zapraszamy posłuchać, zobaczymy jak mu pójdzie.
And then after that, we're going to have a few English.
Tak, no i oczywiście moja angielska seria, o której już wspominałam.
Exactly. So, thank
koniec,
you.
Mateusz. Mateusz, wszystkiego najlepszego. Mateusz ma urodziny.
Aha, happy birthday. So anyway, thank you everyone for following us over the last 10 days. It means a lot. Let us know your feedback. If there's anything else you would like to have maybe would have wanted us to cover, let us know for next time. And yeah, see you in the next event.
Dziękujemy bardzo i zapraszamy do nas na Facebooka i na mój kanał. Bye!
Bye, thank you.
And bye bye Facebook.